Hey everybody, welcome back to Tommy's Tesla Tech and Travel. This is another comic book edition, and this is a very special one, and unorthodox, if you will. We're going to be talking about the various ways to protect your comic books. And the reason we're doing that is, as many of you know, we're getting ready to go to WonderCon for this year, 2024's WonderCon Anaheim. Kind of excited. I've never been to a comic book show outside of Arizona before, solo especially. It's going to be interesting. And I was thinking about what's something I can do to prepare for the trip, and that's just to get ready to protect the comics I take with me and the comics I buy and bring back. When people think about protecting comics, they think about, the simple things. They think about, well, first thing that comes to most people's mind is your traditional slab comic books. Like you see here, this is my Haunt #1, and this is a very important book to me. It memorializes a really cool time. I got it signed by Todd McFarlane, Ryan Otley, Robert Kirkman, Greg Capullo, Richard Starkings, like everyone that really worked on this book. So I wanted to protect it, so I got it slabbed and verified. And the other way that people think about comic books and protecting them is just your traditional bag and boards. Here's a raw copy of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. I have a nutritional bag and board. Nothing fancy like Mylar, but it does a trick and does its job because I store it properly in a short box. But what about the other ways of protecting your comics? I'm going to show you some traditional ways I've done it over the years, but more importantly, I'm going to show you a brand new way that I'm excited to kind of unbox with you guys and show you what it is. We're going to learn about it at the same time together. All right, guys, kick back and let's talk about protecting comic books. And before we go any further, a couple things. One, if you haven't done so, please like and subscribe. We've almost hit that 250 subscriber target that we've set for ourselves before March. Seeing we're still in the beginning part of February, and we're at 248, we're on the right track. The other thing I want you to do is please forgive me for the lighting. I wanted to record this video, it's been a while. Things have been hectic. This is one of my late night videos, which means I didn't really feel like getting out the lighting equipment. Just wanted to talk to y'all. All right, let's jump into how do we protect our comics. I want to start off with something simple. I've been collecting comic books for a long time now, off and on since I was a kid, but as an adult actively since I was about 23, 24. I'm 39 now. Weird, 39 with, yeah. This is what happens when you give adult money. We buy things from our childhood we couldn't buy when we were kids. So with that being said, the very first comic book protector I ever bought was this really cool one that a guy named Charlie here in Tucson, who used to own a shop called Charlie's Comics, kind of talked me into. It's kind of like a CD cover that opens like a booklet. And I thought it was really cool. The only catch there is you can't fit a bag and board or anything in it, so it is still kind of exposed. And here we are with our X-Men #4, first appearance of Omega Red. I put it in here to kind of show you guys what it would look like. I just bought this book recently over at Presidio Comics here in Tucson, and I wanted to protect it, but I didn't have anything else with me at the time or accessible other than this. But I still really like this one. I love the fact on the side here I can put a label in if I wanted to, and it really does protect the book. But the book is just kind of bouncing around in there. So I wasn't a huge fan, and I kind of only kept one book in here for many years, and that was a Stan Lee book I had that got signed by Stan Lee before I knew how to grade or where to go grade comics. So this is a great option. I don't remember the company that makes it, but I don't believe they're in business anymore. In fact, I think that might be the last one in existence. The next one, for any of you out there that collect sports cards like I did as a kid too, we had those top loaders from Ultra Pro, and they actually make them in comic book size. So here's our Batman Year 1 Part 1 that I had signed by Frank Miller. And I never got it verified, but I have it in the top loader along with the bag and board and the receipt from when I got it signed, because you had to pay for the signature, which totally don't mind. These guys created the books that I absolutely love and cherish, and they really didn't get paid what they deserved for them. So now in their latter years that they're going around conventions charging for autographs, I think it's well worth it, especially to have that moment interaction with them and say thank you for creating these things that I love. But I love them because they fit in most short boxes, so you don't have to go through and changing your storage method, and it really does protect the books. Now here's the thing, they are kind of still pliable. I'm not going to do anything to really damage this one, but they're not going to be the be-all end-all of protection. We're going to get to that with this next thing. So just like those top loaders that are made by Ultra Pro, these are too. So we talked about slab comics earlier, and we all love the look and the protection and quality of slabs, but it's not cheap to come by, and you can't interchange them out. So if you got a book like, oh, I'd rather put this book in that slab than that one. Oh, I wish I did that before I sent them in. Well, what's nice about these, they actually are magnetic. So you can take and remove the books at your will and at your leisure, which is really cool. My only knock against them, I don't know how to describe it other than they design them for multiple size comics. So like this right here, we have a Swamp Thing #37, first appearance, well, arguably the first appearance of John Constantine. And it has so much room where it can slide around a little bit. So would I put a really high quality comic in this? No, but it's still a valuable one that I would like to display and make sure it's really protected. I really like these cases, but again, they're not cheap. I'll have to put a link down below, but I think it's something like $30 for 2 or 3 of them. I was lucky enough to pick these up from our friends over at Presidio when I bought some books from them. But I've used these for more than one book. Books I plan on sending in to get graded and verified, I usually put them in here in the meantime until they're actually sent out. Now, what do we do to protect a bunch of books? Like when I go to these comic conventions, I'll go through and buy, you know, a handful of books, or just bag and boarded, or maybe even raw, so I provide my own bag and board. That's when I get these here. If I remember correctly, yeah, these are BCW, and what they are, they hold a bunch of books at one time, I think usually up to 9 or 10. And I just bought a couple of these for my trip up to Anaheim, and I bought them from our local shop here in Tucson called Fantasy Comics. I love them because they fit on the shelf perfectly, like just, you know, stackable, have them on there, kind of like your own library. And for those of you who collected sports cards again as a kid, they have the plastic insert where you can actually put in like your own information and material to label them. So I love these. I put my books in there that I plan on getting signed, or new books that I just purchased, and it protects them on the trip to and fro. I don't think you could ever have enough of these as a comic collector. I love having them to put on the shelf to protect the books I don't have stored in short boxes or slabbed or anything yet. Those are a great investment. But I did tease at the beginning of this. There's a new option. I haven't done this before. I've seen it pop up on Facebook a couple times, and I was interested. And actually, our friends over at Presidio started selling them. At one point, I believe they had one of like the early versions of it, so they were one of the first people to sell it. So naturally, I wanted to give it a try. When my local comic shop has something cool and it's new, count me in. Let's give it a whirl and see what we think. And let me show it to you guys right now. So slight disclaimer, I've actually had this now for about 4 weeks, and I haven't opened it up because I wanted to do it live with you guys in one of the videos. And it's just, things have been so hectic lately, I have not had time. But let's go ahead and take it out of the bag for the first time and look at it together. It's called a Comic Capsule. What I like about it, just from first glances and first reactions, it's small, just like the little Ultra Pro top loaders, so it's easy to go in like short boxes and everything. And like the Ultra Pro, the big heavy one with the magnetic, it's pretty secure on both sides. It is plastic, like a thinner bendable plastic a little bit, but still firmer than the Ultra Pro top loaders. So it's kind of in between those. And the other thing is, it also has the ability to hang them up like by a nail, just like the Ultra Pro top loaders. And it's less, I don't know, it's more viscerally satisfying, I guess you can say. Here's the thing, from the size of it, I'm not sure how well it fits in with the bag and board, so you might just be sliding the book in on its own. And it is designed on the back, it even says on here with the instructions, you can go to one of their websites and it'll help you create labels to label the book either at the top here or along the edge of the top. And it looks like, to open it, if I'm reading this correctly, I don't know if you can see, it has a BB right here. We're supposed to place our thumbs on the BB and push, and that opened fairly easily. And again, from first glances, it's kind of a separation right here, so that's why it can open a little bit easier, but I don't know if it's designed to open often. That's the other thing. So we took out the little label strip, so it is transparent on both sides, and I really don't think you can fit a bag and board on here. But let's put a book in and see how it looks. So far the books I've shown you are kind of cool ones. No like crazy key issues, but still some valuable comics. So to show you how serious I am about protecting these books. So let's try it out with a book that's near and dear to my heart. Brief History in Time, issue 1. A book that I actually wrote, and it was illustrated by my good friend Caleb Warner. So let's insert it in this case here. So it actually might fit with the bag and board. We'll try that here next. So we drop the book in. Now that's in, we just pop this back in place. And there, now it is secure. It still slides around like the Ultra Pro ones do, which I guess that's not that big of a deal. There's not so much room where it can slide around and get hurt. But it's in there, and I like it because you leave it exposed on both sides so you can actually see everything on the book, which is why you like slab books. You can see both sides. And unlike slab books, you can remove them to look at them, but I wouldn't suggest keeping very valuable books in here, especially if they are like key issues that you want to get graded for possible resale later, or in my case, to pass down to my children one day when I shut off this mortal coil. So I like it right off the bat, but let's try it with a bag and board too to see if it can go in that way, because I'm all about protecting the books if we possibly can. I do have to say, removing the book from this, let me show you. So one of my biggest fears is something I have done, and I think every comic book collector has done in the early stages at some point. When we used to remove our comics from bags and boards, we all used to use regular Scotch tape on the back. And we all had that fear of accidentally catching the book on the tape when we removed it. So when I thumb this open, there's not really a way to grab it and safely pull it out. You kind of gotta shuffle it out to remove it. So if you don't have a bag and board, you're possibly gonna damage the book, just like with tape back in the day. So that's a con so far. And we're back. So we're gonna do another video later on about my Canon G7X Mark III. Love the camera, but it has overheating issues and I've barely used it. So we'll get back to that later. Since we've been gone, we went ahead and put my book that I wrote, Brief History and Time, issue 1, into a bag and board to see if it's going to fit in here. And, spoiler, I already tried it off camera, it does not fit with the bag and board. So this is literally just for modern size books without a bag and board on them. So you kind of have to pick, do you want the stability of the board? Or do you just want to be able to put it in here? Which, you know what? For a decent sized book, I don't see that being an issue. Here's my cons with it so far. When you do put it in here, there's no real easy way to basically put it in the bottom, and it's going to bounce around no matter what you do. So are you protecting it? Sure. But if you're putting like a high grade book in here, if you have it in your backpack, in your side bag, whatever, as you're walking, it's going to bounce around and you could possibly ding your corners. So that's one thing I do like about the Ultra Pro cases, the ones with the magnetic clip. If I can get it in close enough for y'all to see, possibly. It actually has rounded off corners. So if you have it in a bag and board and it's up in that corner, it's not actually going to make contact. You see this a lot with like sports cards holders as well. So something really cool that someone took into account. I don't necessarily see that here, and you have to look to see what their MSRP is. We paid $12.99 for it at our local shop, which, you know, for what it is, I think is a really good value. But I don't know if this is my be-all, end-all comic book protector. I really do like it for what it is, I will say that. I think it's a really cool idea and it's off to the right start, but I just don't know how many times you can do that without it starting to wear on the bendability and the fact that it slides around, and it is just slightly too small to have a bag and board in there as well. Because as the average comic book collector goes, we like to make sure our stuff is protected in these cases. So in these cases, so I would like to have the option of doing a bag and board as well. Maybe just make a separate one, but I know that requires machining, retooling, all that good stuff. But I think it's a viable option. But like, you know, for a book like mine, which is a, you know, self-published and self-distributed book, not a bad option, especially if I want to put it on display so people can see it. So I have to say, I'm probably going to stick to my top loaders with bags and boards for most regular storage and, you know, safety. But I see this as a really cool option, and I'll put their information down below. So I think it is something worth looking at, especially if you are a comic book collector. The other thing I want to talk about is making the labels for it, which I think is a cool thing that they have, which they have here on the website where you would go to do so, and it gives you the dimensions of labels you make. The only thing is you have to print them yourself, cut them out, so you can make them to the correct specs, but unless you cut them down to the correct specs and have a better way of, you know, adhering it to the case, I don't know if that portion would necessarily be worth it, in my opinion. But as it sits here, I know this is going to fit in a short box or what have you, so that part's really cool. And it is a step up from definitely just your general bag and board. So that's how I protect my books and ways you can protect them as well. I'll put links down below for all the stuff I showed today. At least where I've gotten them and where I believe you can get them. But this is our first step of getting ready for WonderCon. I cannot wait. We're less than 2 months away from that. We're actually about a month and like 3 weeks away from it. But before then, we are going to Oregon. So I know I've already said it. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe. We do everything from travel videos to Tesla videos to lifestyle videos and comic book videos. And we do all kinds of videos. Anything I find interesting or my family finds interesting. So thanks for taking a ride with us on this adventure. And let's take another ride again soon. Thanks, everybody. And again, forgive the lighting. Better quality coming. And it looks like we might be overheating again. The video on that coming soon.